Hello, my name is Emily Sample, and today I will be doing a book talk and evaluation on the book The Tree Lady by H. Joseph Hopkins and illustrated by Jill McElmurray. Why I'm showing the title page and not the cover is that the cover of my copy is just this beautiful illustration, and not very informative. Anyway, this book is about Catherine Olivia Sessions and her impact on the city of San Diego. This book is a great example of narrative nonfiction, specifically life writing, as detailed by Coates in the Bloomsbury Introduction to Children's and Young Adult Literature. Also, it is a great example of good nonfiction because, as it says in the lecture, it breathes life and meaning into people and events. Catherine in this book feels like an actual little girl, and then an adult woman, and not just some historic figure that would be boringly detailed in the average history textbook. So, now let's talk about the book itself. The book itself has beautiful illustrations, and they're really engaging, and also the author makes sure to use repetition on every page spread in order to keep the reader engaged. So now, I would like to read a bit of an excerpt from the reading to get you a bit hooked. Now, I would like you to be in the mindset of someone who would be about the age that you'd be reading this book to. I would say someone between kindergarten, first grade, possibly second grade, who has an interest in science. And if they're a girl being interested in science, that's all the better. Why would it be better for them to be a girl interested in science? Well, let me read and help you figure it out. Catherine Olivia Sessions grew up in the woods of Northern California. She gathered leaves from oaks and elms. She collected needles from pines and redwoods, and she braided them together with flowers to make necklaces and bracelets. I have 2 cats, and I'm sorry my 6-month-old kitten does not understand that I'm recording a video. Anyway, it was the 1860s, and girls from Kate's class in town weren't supposed to get their hands dirty. But Kate did. Sir, thank you. See the muddy handprints? See the little girl? Kate listened well in school. She learned how to write and count. She remembered the poems and stories she read. Best of all, she liked studying wind and rain, muscles and bones, plants and trees, especially trees. Most girls were discouraged from studying science, but not Kate. See, it lists some scientific names of different types of trees at the bottom. And if you look at this classroom scene, Kate's the only girl. Kate felt the trees were her friends. She loved the way they reached toward the sky and how their branches stretched wide to catch the light. Trees seemed to Kate like giant umbrellas that sheltered her and the animals, birds, and plants that lived in the forest. Not everyone feels at home in the woods, but Kate did. When Kate grew up, she left home to study science at college. She looked at soil and insects through a microscope. She learned how plants make food and how they drink water. And she studied trees from around the world. No woman had ever graduated from the University of California with a degree in science. But in 1881, Kate did. If you can see in this image, she's also the only girl. After graduation, Kate took a job in Southern California. When her boat docked in San Diego, she saw her new home was a desert town. Kate never thought she would live in a place with very few trees, but now she did. Kate began her job as a teacher. She was also the vice principal of the school, so she had to make sure that everyone followed the rules. Kate missed studying science and was not sure how she would stay on the job. You see, kids, even adults can make mistakes reading sometimes. Anyway, but for 2 years, she did. From her school, Kate could see City Park in the hills above town. It was called a park, but it didn't look like one. It was where people grazed cattle and dumped garbage. Most San Diegans didn't think trees could ever grow there, but Kate did. And that's where I'm going to leave you. What does Kate do? How does it involve that city park? Well, you're going to have to read The Tree Lady by H. Joseph Hopkins and illustrated by Jill McElmurray to figure that out. Thank you for listening, and thank you for forgiving my interruption by my cats, specifically the youngest one named Radish. I've decided to include that interaction because I believe in a real life demonstration of a book or anything like that. If you are working with younger kids, they might interrupt you, and you gotta roll with it. So that's what I did. I got interrupted, and I rolled with it. Please forgive me. Thank you for listening.